Good morning. Welcome. We begin our time together in song with Come, Come, Whoever You Are by Lynn Adair Unger, based on the writings of Rumi. Let's make sure your microphones are muted so you can sing enthusiastically to welcome in this beautiful, blessed new day. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Gwinnett. My name is Jan Taddeo. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. It is my great joy and tremendous privilege to serve our faith as the minister of this congregation. I am so glad we can be together this morning in this way, which is better than no way. Thank you for being here. If you have a chalice at home to light in a few minutes or a candle, please have that ready after our words of welcome. We arrive from many places and many life experiences as we gather in this cherished space to recall our true selves, to reflect on the meaning of our lives, and to explore questions of ultimacy together. We are people who are new to Unitarian Universalism and people who are lifelong Unitarian Universalists and everywhere in between. We are people of many religious beliefs and spiritual practices. We affirm and promote the responsible search for truth and meaning. We are people of many genders, sexualities, ethnicities, origins, ages, shapes, sizes, and expressions of our true selves. We affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person. We are people of all ages and family structures, and we each bring gifts, talents, and passions that serve to affirm and promote communities with peace, liberty, and justice for all. We are people of covenant who engage with one another in ways that promote and affirm justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. We are people who care deeply for our earth, our planet, and understand we are inextricably and profoundly connected with the web of all existence. We are people who welcome all who are seeking a community of faith that welcomes your whole self, all that you were, all that you are, all that you yearn to be. And you are, everyone here is where you should be this morning, in a room full of compassionate and thoughtful Unitarian Universalists ready to meet you where you are. You are welcome here. You are home. If you are a newcomer with us this morning, thank you for being with us. We welcome you and hope you will indeed find your spiritual home here with us. We are becoming a radically welcoming sanctuary in a green space. We foster spiritual growth as we joyfully nurture connections and community within our walls and beyond. If this is your first time here, I encourage you to join us several times to experience the full flavor of this faith tradition and this congregation. And please come and be curious, courageous, and compassionate with us. Welcome. Now I invite us all to take a big, deep breath and fully enter into this special time, this precious time we've set aside this morning, this week. And with the next breath, bring every molecule of your being into now. As the sound of the bell vibrates through us and around us, let it remind us how deeply, profoundly, inextricably interconnected we are with one another, with all humans, with all beings on this planet, with all life, and with all the stars in the cosmos. Our opening words this morning come from the Reverend Lisa Friedman, who happened to be my mentor all through seminary. We touch the floor to remember that wherever we bring our best self is holy ground. We reach for the sky to remember that we are a part of a mystery so much bigger than ourselves. We hold hands to remember that we need one another and are part of one human family. We join voices to remember that we each have a gift to offer the world and to use this voice in making the world a better place. And now our chalice lighting words come from the Reverend Christine Robinson. We gather this hour as people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together. And now it is time for our Wonder Box, time for all ages. And our Wonder Box took a little break last week, but it's back. Okay, so this is, well, I guess technically it's a dream catcher, but for today it is just a web. Just think of it as a web, because we're going to be talking a little bit about our interconnectedness today. And this, we're going to pretend that this is a little cat named Marmalade. And I'm going to tell a story about Marmalade. Marmalade wants to be right there, I think. Yes, very good. Okay, listen up. All right. So, in this story, Marmalade by Orlando Brunola, we have a young person named Whitman Jones who just turned 9. That was good, but he was going to a new school in a new town, and that was bad. In his old school, he knew everyone. They had been in classes with him for years. In this new school, he didn't know one single person. Not only that, the first day didn't go well at all. "Whitman Jones," the teacher called out. "Whitman? Why, that's an unusual name." You can call me Whit," Whitman said, hoping to be helpful. "All right, Whit. I'll do that, thank you," said the teacher. His classmates made funny noises. There didn't seem to be any way to explain that Whitman was named after his grandfather. At recess, a very tall boy in Whitman's class came over to him. His name was Eric Smith. He really was tall and kind of chunky. He moved slowly and sometimes bumped into things. He had very red hair. Whitman had never seen such large freckles. Eric said, "Whit!" "No, wait, what?" and laughed. Then he said, "Whit, what, whatever." He laughed again, and Whitman knew it wasn't a nice laugh. He looked down. Hey, whatever, where did you get those clothes? He plucked at Whitman's shirt. That was kind of scary. Bet you got 'em at Walmart. Sure, whatever wears whatever from Walmart. He laughed again. Whitman didn't know what to do, but luckily the bell rang and recess was over. After that, he tried to avoid Eric, didn't look at him, didn't raise his hand if Eric had already raised his. He spent the beginning of lunch in the boys' bathroom so Eric wouldn't still be in line or looking for a seat. Once in a while, Eric would shout, "Whatever!" across the schoolyard at recess. Whitman tried to concentrate on his lessons. He practiced his spelling and some arithmetic in his head as he walked home. One day, he saw a piece of paper on a telephone pole. It had a picture of something, and when he got close, it was a picture of a cat. Lost cat, said the paper. It said the cat was orange and was called Marmalade. It gave an address. The paper made Whitman sad. He wouldn't want to lose a cat or a dog if he had one. He thought that some kid must be pretty unhappy. The next day, on his way home, Whitman heard something. It was a very small sound, and he had trouble figuring out what direction it came from. Then he saw a cardboard box on the street next to the curb. The sound was coming from there. He went over and looked inside the box. Shivering from the cold was a small cat. Meow, it said, hopefully. Meow yourself, said Whitman. You must be freezing in there. Come on, let me pick you up. The cat was shivering, but not so much that he couldn't dig his claws into Whitman's jacket. And Whitman laughed. Okay, it's going to be okay. Let's get you home. And this cat was orange, and it was obviously lost, so it must be the cat that he had read about. He didn't remember the address, though, so he had to go back and find the telephone pole with the paper. Okay, see, I'll just take you home, and you'll be fine. Meow, said the cat, and dug his claws in a bit more. Ouch, said Whitman. Take it easy. The address wasn't far, but of course Whitman didn't know if anyone would be home. He rang the bell and waited. He rang again and waited. Then he thought he could see someone coming. When the door opened, he had a real scare. I bet you're guessing who opened the door. It was Eric, the nasty guy from school who had made fun of him. Eric said, "Whatever, get off my porch." And then he saw the cat. "That's Marmalade!" he almost shouted. Whitman held out the cat at arm's length. "Here, he's yours." Eric grabbed the cat and tucked him under his chin and for a moment closed his eyes and rocked him back and forth and held him in his arms. Then as Whitman turned, ready to run in case Eric came after him, Eric said, wait a minute, let me tell my mom." He went inside, but left the door half open. "Mom," he yelled, "Marmalade is back. Somebody from school brought him. Can we have some cookies?" He hardly waited for the answer. "Come on," he said to Whitman. "It's cold out there." And still carrying the cat, he led Whitman to the kitchen. The cookies were still cooling from the oven, and they smelled really good. "Want some milk?" he asked. Whitman nodded. "Sit," said Eric. He got a paper towel for each of them and brought the cookies over. Then he poured a glass of milk for each of them and a bowl of milk for Marmalade. When they had eaten at least 2 cookies each, Eric said, "Thanks for bringing Marmalade back. She's never been outside. I guess she got lost." Then he said, "I was sick all last year. My grandma got Marmalade when she was a kitten. Marmalade used to lie on my chest and purr. It helped a lot." That helped Whitman understand something about Eric, why he was so big and pudgy and awkward. And he said, "Wow, that must have been some year. Are you okay now?" "Yeah, I'm pretty okay now," said Eric. And then Eric looked down and said, "I'm sorry I made fun of your name." And Whitman could see that Eric was really sorry. And so he said, "Whatever." And Eric looked at him as though he had gotten 2 gifts in one, his cat back and a new friend too. And they laughed at Whitman's joke, and Whitman said, "It's so weird that we both have unusual first names, Whitman and Eric, but our last names are so common, Jones and Smith." "You're right," said Eric. And then they ate some more cookies and had more milk, and Marmalade had more milk too, but no cookies for Marmalade. Sorry, Marmalade. So that's our story this morning. And let's sing together, "Come Sing a Song with Me" by Carolyn McDade.
sing a song with me that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you home when home is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love that rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you home when home is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love that rose in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you home when home is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love that rose in the winter time. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you home when home is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time.
An interdependence of individuals. Gratitude is my best way of coping with the whirlwind of change, blowing dark storm clouds across the bright future I had imagined for myself, my people, and my world. I have anxious nights when I need to make a good, strong cup of ginger tea, step out into the yard, dig my toes into the dirt, lift my eyes to the Milky Way and the moon, and to count my blessings. I've spent a great portion of my life engaged in dogged, semi-unconscious pursuit of privilege. I'm a white, male, middle-aged, white-collar worker living at the end of a cul-de-sac in the suburbs in a house I picked for its relative isolation from the neighbors. Located near the best schools I could afford. Between us, my family of four holds 7 college degrees, and an 8th is on the way. And yet, Robin DiAngelo bursts my bubble of privilege, writing, "White progressives do indeed uphold and perpetrate racism, but our defensiveness and certitude make it virtually impossible to explain to us how we do so." Nancy MacDonald Ladd skewers my complacency, writing, "The real fight beckons, the real conversation about our history, our identity, our relevance, our resistance. The world does not need another place for like-minded, liberal-leaning people to hang out together and fight about who's in charge. The world does not need a place where you or I or any of us is going to get what we want." I've been trying for decades now to learn about the value of relationships. I have made some friends and remained close with my family. Principles, covenants, and mission statements have been good tools along the way. The more I listen to the stories of others, the more I learn about myself. Honoring the worth and dignity of every person doesn't change the fact that all of humanity is made of the same stardust. The same water that gives us life has been a part of all of us since life began. Genetically, we are almost identical. We are inextricably linked. Our distant ancestors survived ice ages together. What affects one of us affects all of us. Janice Marie Johnson writes about recognition of the value of our fellow humans and the significance of using the Spanish definition of the word acompañar, like being joined at the hip when thinking about this recognition. She goes on to say that it is our task, regardless of our starting point. Regardless of our starting point, to walk with or accompany each other. It means becoming intensely aware of each other's condition. Body, mind, spirit, hope, future. We are called to move beyond othering, beyond tolerating, beyond embracing, to honor our siblings as the unique and precious beings that we all are, in spite of all that would divide us. And yet often any kind of unity seems outside of my circle of influence. When even to try seems beyond hope, I fall back on my mentor's words. You are capable of more than you know. And we're not in charge of outcomes, only inputs. I often find myself humming a tune that Ellie Grace wrote. Here are some of the words. Our hearts are kind enough. We will lift each other up. We will find a way through this dark. And when hope falls away, we will light the way. There is a fire, and we are the spark. We will show you what it means to be strong. We will love right through all of this wrong. We will not back down. We will stand our ground until all the guns are put down. Every day, good, bad, forgettable, or unforgettable, I try to be humble and grateful. And I remember the chorus of a tune by Mary Gaucher, with the last line borrowed from Ram Dass. I don't know how this story's supposed to go. I don't know a lot of things that other people know. But it ain't about the money, ain't about who's right or wrong. We're all just walking each other home.
Thank you, Bill. Now let us sing together. We celebrate the Web of Life by Alicia Carpenter with music written by Melcher Vulpius.
For we
So, if you could see my paper, you can see I made this really lame attempt at trying to draw a face with a mask on it. Because I think that during this past year of living in pandemic time, our American Western culture individualism has just shown itself so boldly, and the mask is sort of a symbol of that for me, that, I have a choice. I don't have to worry about the common good. I can choose to do whatever I want to do, and nothing else matters. That keeping distance is my choice. You can't tell me what to do. That washing my hands a lot, I don't like it. It makes them all dry. I'm not going to do it. It's just a symbol of what has been part of our culture for eons, really, for Western culture's history. And with regard to the pandemic, I wonder if we had a better culture of common good, of focusing on one another and how we care for one another, how many lives might have been spared this year? I know many in our congregation have lost beloveds to this pandemic, and how would it have been different? Who would still be here had we taken this as a common purpose, as a country, as a globe, as a global community? And boy, this week we got such an example of how this shows up in our structures, in our systems, in our government structures, in the just tragic circumstances in Texas, especially. Almost every state was hit with deep freeze and heavy snows, and including states that are not accustomed to it. And we remember what that's like because we've had that here, but not as bad as Texas got it. And it didn't have to be that bad. But the New Yorker on Thursday had an article about this, written by Brian Washington, that said, whereas much of the country is powered by regional energy systems, which are able to pull and pull resources in times of duress, Texas's power is largely under the control of ERCOT, the Electric Reliability Council of Texas, which manages nearly 90% of the state's electricity load. The state's independent network of utilities was devised with the goal of avoiding federal regulation. By not crossing state lines, Texas's power grid could sidestep national utility guidelines, and energy companies could profit under the guise of individualism and self-reliance. State leaders sacrificing long-term communal safety for immediate profit have shaken their heads at the idea of reform or collaboration and said, but we don't need it. Then it got very cold, very fast, and the system, particularly it seems the parts that rely on natural gas, proved vulnerable. And sure enough, the onus fell on the individual. How many lives could have been spared if greed had not been the primary motivation for establishing a closed electrical grid in Texas? I am heartened by the helpers. It was left to the individual, and individuals stepped up. And this morning in the Guardian paper, they had stories of people who really stepped up. And you've probably heard some stories. The furniture store owner who invited people in to stay there, to be warm, to be together. Look for the helpers, as Fred Rogers told us. Look for the helpers, because they are the ones who are guiding us in understanding how deeply we are interconnected. Beloved community is about being interconnected. It's about recognizing how much we rely on one another. And I'm wondering, actually, our communication team is wondering, in what ways does UUCG increase your commitment to beloved community? We say come, whoever you are. We invite people to share their dreams, their stories, to learn with us, to grow with us. And what makes beloved community challenging? Well, what makes it challenging is all the ways that we are socialized to believe that we are individual and that we don't need other people, that we don't need to think about the earth. Now, this congregation, I'm preaching to the choir here, right? You all know that we're interconnected. You know that we need each other, and you show it in so many generous ways. And yet, we always have more to do. As Bill was saying, we need to always be learning and growing in how we understand our privilege, our assumptions, our judgments, our preconceptions. You know, this story of Marmalade, Eric, who'd been through a tough time, was probably feeling kind of isolated after missing school and being sick. And he was turning that around on someone else, judging Whitman, teasing him. And they almost missed this opportunity for friendship. But the cat connected them. Our cultural norms make it hard, but it's not that hard. Martin Luther King said, in a global beloved community, hunger and homelessness would not be tolerated because international standards will not allow it. It would not be tolerated because our standards would not allow it. Well, that sounds simple. Let's just change the standards. Let's just say we're not going to allow people to be hungry and homeless anymore, right? And where there's a will, there's a way. We would make sure every person had what they need to thrive. And we know that they need more than shelter and food. We know they need health care, and they need companionship, and they need water, clean water. We need so much to be able to thrive. Just the basics, the basic level of the hierarchy of needs. We ought to make sure everybody has at least that, right? So all can thrive. But we know that pyramid is very skewed right now. So in order to do this, we would require that we have a sustainable planet. We have to have the clean water. We have to have the healthy ecosystems. We have to have a planet that can sustain all beings and all species. We have to take care of our home, our blue boat home. We are inextricably interdependent with everything. I know many species have already gone extinct, and I'm not the I haven't done the research, I'm not a scientist, but I am sure there are ways in which that has impacted human life, that we've lost species, and impacted the lives of other species that's jeopardizing their continued existence. Everything is connected. The global beloved community begins right here at home, right here in this congregation, this island of sanity that we are creating in Gwinnett County. People who model beloved community, who feed the hungry, bring food to our food drive, who shelter the homeless. Maybe some of you have opened your home occasionally to someone who needed a space. I have yet to find an actual available functioning shelter in Gwinnett County. I had a lead on one, but after I looked at it, I'm not really sure that it's the kind of shelter anyone could go to, but I'm going to keep researching because I am really concerned that there's no shelter in Gwinnett County. I even lay at night thinking, wow, we have this Gwinnett Interfaith Alliance with all these congregations, and what if we decided to take on homelessness as a thing that had to be resolved in this county? What if we came together and found grants and funding to buy some huge empty big box store that's sitting around, because boy, there's a lot of them, and converted it into an actual shelter? And I dream big sometimes. Maybe you join me sometime. If enough people join big on big dreams, then they're doable. But I keep dreaming. We need to eradicate systems of oppression and those judgments we make about people who are not living in a home, who are living on the streets. And we have to dismantle our biases and our assumptions and notice when we are blind, to welcome in the whole person, meet them where they are, as they are, and don't be like Eric. Be open-hearted to everyone who walks through the door, to be curious about their stories and their lives and who they are and how what breaks them joyful and what breaks their hearts. I was thinking about this concept of interconnectedness and interdependence, and I had my theology teacher in seminary said, we are absolutely dependent. Absolutely dependent. We cannot live on our own. There are people who set up sustainable living systems and do their best to live lightly on the land, but they still need the earth. They still need the pollinators. They still need the rain. They still need the materials to build homes and water collectors and rain barrels and all of that. So we still need things that are separate from us. So we are inextricably connected. So I was thinking about this. In 2017, Karen Smith, a member of the congregation, and I went to Nicaragua on a UU College for Social Justice trip. And ever since then, every time I drink coffee, I think about the coffee farmers I met and lived with in Nicaragua. I bought this lovely goddess that was created by an artisan, a local artisan in Nicaragua, and she sits on one of my altars and reminds me I'm connected to Nicaragua. I have this rock that I got in the mountainous desert of Tucson when I went on another UU College of Social Justice trip to learn about the lives of migrants coming over the border into Arizona. And this, every night it sits next to my bed, and before I go to sleep I think about, are they cold tonight? Do they have warmth? Do they have blankets? Are they too hot? Do they have water? And I thank my life that I have those things and that I should not take them for granted. And this rock is from Zion National Park that reminds me of the ancient stones that stand so high above us there, and all the life that is there, and how threatened it is by people wanting to drill for oil and gas and things like that. So it's precious. And this Blue Boat Home pillow reminds me not only of our Blue Boat Home, the earth that sustains us, but also it reminds me of this congregation and Sarah Heath, who made it and offered it in the auction. And I'm grateful. And it sits in a very special place in my home. We are reminded of our deep time connection when we see pictures of our ancestors, when we think about what we've inherited in terms of traits and qualities, as well as biases and culture and understandings about people and life. Individualism is a false construct, and the evidence of that is everywhere. And it promotes greed and selfishness. It allows pandemics to go out of control. It allows people in Texas to die in the cold. Some are still without power. Some are still a week later, and some are still struggling. And many are grieving. This interconnectedness is our reality. So I invite you to join Bill and me in learning, seeking ways to learn to be more aware of this interconnectedness, more open to every person we meet, every creature we engage with, every piece of life that we encounter on this earth. You can see our newsletter this month from February to see recommendations for readings and programs and resources on how you can do more to learn about your biases and your prejudices and just keep growing in how you're opening up. Our closing up today is our last small group for this round of transforming of transgender inclusion in congregations offered by the Transforming Hearts Collective. And then we'll open up registration again next month to form new groups, because we can offer this program forever and keep it running. So everyone has the opportunity, when it fits your life, to take part in this. And I hope that everyone will. Our inherent interconnectedness is the stardust that connects each of us to all that is, was, and ever will be. It allows us to see the divinity in everything and every person. Our bones link stone to star. We are all just walking each other home, growing in our skills to companion one another on this beautiful blue boat home. Thank you for being my companions on this walk. Blessed be. Here we strive to create a model of beloved community. We do this in part through the care and support of one another. We each arrive here holding joys and sorrows, triumphs and disappointments. We set aside time in this communal space to honor that which we carry on our hearts, to celebrate together and to grieve together. If you would like your joy or sorrow shared aloud in the service, please share it in the chat space on Zoom, and our pastoral care associate, Mandy Miller, will read them aloud as I light a candle of compassion to lift your joy or sorrow into the collective consciousness. Before we begin that, I invite us now to enter into a time of silent reflection as we create a container of compassion to hold our joys and our sorrows. Into this container, we offer that which is most on our hearts to share with this beloved and supportive community. We light one more candle for those joys and those sorrows that are held in the silent sanctuary of the heart. May we hold one another with compassion and loving kindness. Amen.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. My heart is true, you're a pal and a confidant. I'm not ashamed to say I will always stay. My heart is off, won't you stand up and take a bow? And make it through a party, inviting everyone you knew. Well, you will see the biggest thing for me, and the heart attached will say, thank you for being a friend. 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 If it's the car you lack, I surely buy you a Cadillac. Whatever you need, anytime, any day or night. I'm not ashamed to say my heart will always stay this way. My heart is off, won't you stand up and take a bow? And when we both get older, with walking kids and every day, we'll have no fear
Thank you, Michael, for your work putting together our music videos, and thanks to all who participated in creating that. And thank you all for being friends to one another on this walk. Our congregation is committed to creating a more compassionate world. To this end, each quarter we split our plate collection with an organization selected by our Give Away the Plate committee based on the nominations from people in the congregation. So please send nominations. Our first quarter plate recipient is Beyond the Ribbon, a Gwinnett-based organization advocating for support and resources beyond the diagnosis of cancer to educate, inspire hope, cultivate awareness, and empower individuals. Beyond the Ribbon volunteers educate, support, and provide resources to patients and their families, and offer various initiatives to increase community support for people living with cancer. Our plate contributions also support the shared ministry of this congregation, so I ask that you please give generously to support this very valuable and important ministry in our wider community that is well aligned with the ministry of this congregation. As we listen to a recording of our pianist Brian Bishop playing Bear by William Grant Steele, you will see on the screen ways to contribute to our offering via PayPal, Venmo, or by mailing a check payable to UUCG to the address shown, and we're still working on the request for Zelle. If you are worshiping with us for the first time today, your presence here with us is a great joy and a great gift to this congregation. You may choose to let the plate pass. The offering will now be most gratefully received. May the generous gifts received this week move us towards realizing our vision of a more connected and compassionate world. I want to offer my gratitude to Bill Benshaw for sharing his reflections on our theme this morning, and to Mandy Miller for lending her voice to your joys and sorrows. I am also very grateful to Barbara Sankey for managing the Zoom room today. She did great. And for Russ Taddeo for running video and sound. He's doing great too. Now is the time for our call to connection. To stay strong and vital as a community, we need to seek ways to stay connected between Sundays. If you are new to our congregation, then I invite you to text welcoming to the number on the screen. You'll receive a few texts and emails for a few weeks to guide you in getting connected. And you can also subscribe to our weekly e-news that comes out on Fridays. You can email info@uucg.org to request to be added to that mailing list. Check out our website, and on our website on the front page, homepage, you'll see on the right in the center a link for register for events. So you can see what kinds of events are coming up and register for those. And if you are new to the congregation, or you've been coming for a long time and want an opportunity to fall in love with your congregation or Unitarian Universalism all over again, consider signing up for our first Starting Point program. This is replacing our former 101 and 102 programs for those who were familiar with those. This program invites newcomers and current members to gather 4 times in a small group ministry model to journey together in exploring Unitarian Universalism, making and deepening connections with new people, and engaging in congregational life in meaningful ways. There are 4 sessions starting Sunday, March 14th at 2 o'clock. They're 1-hour sessions, and then every other Sunday ending on April 25th. Barbara Stanke and Katrina Yurko will facilitate this first time of using this new program here. And Peggy Averett has already agreed to be one of our longtime members who will participate. And I see that we already have a few registrations. So we will limit it, I think, to 12 participants. So sign up. Registration's open and go for it. If you want to look at our past services, if you missed one or you're new and you want to get caught up on learn more about us, you can go to our YouTube channel to see past services. If you are looking for ways to be of service, next Saturday, I believe, is not next Saturday, March 6th is our work day. Harry Felice, who's been planning these, is trying to line them up with our food drive. So they're the day before food drives. So you can come out and do little jobs that need to be done. You can come out and do big jobs, whatever. Bring a mask, bring water. Most of the work that needs to be done is outside still. So dress appropriately for the weather. And it's like 8 in the morning, 8 to noon is usually when we're doing this. So please join us. Also, we do the food collection on March 7th. Bring food for the Lawrenceville Cooperative Ministry. We have been so generous and giving so much. And it's great that we're doing this monthly now. And we know it's the first Sunday of every month. So just plan ahead and start adding an extra couple things every time you go shopping. And I really want to thank you for donating platelets, if you can. We continue to do that. I have my appointment tomorrow. And then I'll get the fancy long sleeve t-shirt for doing 4 months in a row. Looking forward to that. And also want to thank you for your generous support of the families at Corley Elementary School, where they have no PTA, and we are one of 2 congregations that help to provide support for the families. And they requested Walmart gift cards, and you came through with $1,320 in gift cards. You're amazing. Absolutely amazing. We now have a bulk purchasing account at Walmart for buying gift cards in the future, and hopefully we can keep this up every year. Thank you. If you are looking for ways to deepen your engagement with your responsible search for truth and meaning, one way is to engage with our monthly reflections on our themes that I mentioned during the homily. And the question this month is, in what way does UUCG increase your commitment to creating the beloved community? And Barbara's going to put that link up there that will take you to a Padlet where you can click on the plus sign and create your own message about how does this congregation increase your commitment? How does it help you to live into it, to creating this beloved community, this radically welcoming world? And there'll be prompts each month, is my understanding, as the communication team works to come up with your understanding of what makes this congregation stand out, what makes this a place that people will want to come to. And we'll probably start putting some of that into our social media and into our, we'll get messaging that we can use in helping people know we're here. The book club is this week. So here it is, Other People's Pets. You don't have to have read the whole book. Show up, take part in the conversation. Our young people, the elementary school age children, have a program on Sundays after the service at 12:30. If you've not yet registered for this program for your children, please do so. All our programs require registration as a security measure. They meet on Zoom at 12:30 every Sunday except the second Sunday that week. Families get a packet of things, of activities for that week. There are opportunities for adults and teens to engage in faith development every morning at 10 o'clock in our Sunday morning faith development program. We have different activities and conversations and materials and resources that help us dig deeper into our monthly theme. And ways to connect, lots of ways to connect. We have the Gwinnett Understanding Secular Truths on second Mondays, Covenant Choir every Tuesday. We need more people, more voices. We would like to fill up that screen with little squares for our next virtual choir piece. Yarns from the Heart, first and third Wednesdays. Courageous Coffee House on Thursdays. Women's Spirituality, second Fridays. Belief Exploration, second Sundays. And Exploring Tarot with Sherry every Sunday at 4. Equal Exchange Coffee and cocoa and chocolate is available. We have restocked. And if you are in need of coffee or cocoa or chocolate, text equal to that number. And we'll get in touch with you and inquire as to what you need, and we'll get it to you. We'll make those arrangements. And now please join me, rise in spirit, as we say together the words we say to extinguish our chalice, followed by our closing song, Blue Boat Home, words and arrangement by Peter Mayer, set to the music of Roland Hugh Pritchard. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Our closing words from Laura Lynn Bellamy, which I love and I'm going to use for a few weeks, so you tell me what you think. If here you have found freedom, take it with you into the world. If you have found comfort, go and share it with others. If you have dreamed dreams, help one another that they may come true. If you have known love, give some back to a bruised and hurting world. Our service has ended, and now our service to one another and our wider communities begins. Be very well, my beloveds. Please continue to take good precautions. Double mask if you can. That new mutant virus is out. You're each so precious, and I don't want to lose a single one of you. See you next week. Or see you in 2 weeks.